I'll start the evening by acknowledging the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and offering respect to elders past and present.
It'll be my first conference. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Oh, good-o.
You're going to love it, Kevin.
I'm so pumped.
I can tell you in a little bit if you'd like me to, I can tell you what I'm up to with it all, because it's all starting to rev up now, and there's lots of organising and reorganising to do because of COVID, and so yeah, there's quite a bit happening at the moment. But it's all good. It's all exciting stuff.
Are participants needing to wear a mask?
At the moment, no, not in the conference area. I had a meeting today at the venue with the events manager at the venue, and people do have to wear masks if they go into the gaming area, but not into the conference area or into like the eating area and the sort of social areas of the club. It's just in the gaming area. People have to wear masks because it's just a bit too enclosed. Yeah, so we don't have to wear masks. We are at the moment, the meeting today was mainly to do with COVID, because I wanted to know, the rooms will have to be set up differently. The conference area it can be one big room, or or there are dividers, so that it can be 4 rooms and a foyer, which is how we had planned to set it up, as 4 rooms and a foyer, and with the biggest room being the plenary, being the main conference room, and then the foyer, and then 3 breakout rooms. And a couple of the breakout rooms are actually very big too, and they would be used for like multi-purpose, including the on-site studio and that sort of thing. Now with COVID and the 4 metre rule, we are going to have to open up to make 2 rooms into 1, so that we've got a larger plenary, a larger conference room with the 2 larger of the breakout rooms as breakouts. And so we're going from 4 rooms and a foyer down to 3 rooms, because we'll open up the section between 2 rooms and the foyer as well, so that we've got enough space because of the 4 metre rule. The rules are apparently supposed to relax in a couple of weeks, but as I said to them, I'd rather work on the 4 metre rule, and then if it goes down to 2 metres, then great, we can close up some of the space again and do a bit, but it's better to work on the premise that it'll be the 4 metre rule, and then my beautiful program that I spend literally probably over 100 hours on every conference, just getting this together. It's like useless because it's based on 4 rooms. So I've got to go back to the drawing board and redo the whole program and and we've got more music, got music supervisors and some more publishers coming in as well. So that'll be fun, but it'll all get sorted. It always gets sorted, but it's going to be a good event. It's going to be great. It's very exciting. Everyone I've spoken to who's coming, whether they're faculty or attendees, they're all really excited, which is great. I mean, we've had to wait a whole extra year for it, so it's like, bring it on.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm super excited. I did a little bit of digging and I pulled out my attendee badges from a couple of them. I didn't go all the way back to 2008 because that's down below, in a couple of boxes that are a little bit hard to access. But yeah, I pulled out some of my nostalgia. And also I'd like to welcome Steve. Hi. Our Seclusion Social is a little bit more informal than our usual events, so If you'd like to introduce yourself or say anything or ask a question about the conference, you're welcome to. So Naomi gave a short presentation a bit over a year ago about what her first experience of the ASC was like and what she would recommend people do to prepare. So it might be putting her on the spot a little bit, but if you can remember any of that, Naomi, that would be great.
Yeah,
I can give you a few. I remember some of what you said. So.
I'll cover what I remember, and if I forget something, you can remind me. Well, I do remember that I had come to the conference without paying any attention to the program or what was going to happen. I came in blind because I was a bit lazy, and we registered, and after that you have a program, this program that Lisa just ripped up. But as soon as there is one, I suggest everyone take a good look at it, because it will tell you what obviously is going to happen, but let that guide the stuff you are preparing for bringing to the conference. So there'll be pitching to publishers and other people. So you want to read up on the publishers and what they want, so you can make the right bookings when you want to be in part of the pitch session. And you bring the right recordings. You get recordings that are good enough to play, and yeah, you're just prepared for that, which I wasn't. So I was scrambling through my phone. What have I got recorded, or what can I play live? Trying to, remember, can I remember how that song goes? That would be good for this person. Like, do all that before you come. It's a waste not to. I assume that we will have some like open mic nights again. So know what songs you want to have up your sleeve and be able to play them at a moment's notice on your guitar. If you're not used to playing solo and you need, you're used to a band or whatever, just be ready and prepared for that, because it was also frustrating because I hadn't done any performing for months and I was a bit rusty on things, and it just frustrated me that I hadn't prepared, because I got there and I wanted to do those things. So they're the two big things that I remember being frustrated about. I hadn't brought the right recordings, and I hadn't practiced to feel like I'm performing. And I wasn't performing particularly because I thought any of the professionals would see their next big thing and want me. I just wanted to do a decent job in a room full of my peers. And so, yeah, you hopefully will also have a chance to get your songs critiqued by a professional. So your pitch to publishers aren't critique sessions, and don't look to them. Trust me, don't look to them for good advice on how to write better songs. That's not their job. But if you get the opportunity to get a critique done by a songwriter, then that songwriter will help you, as we do in our monthly thing, write a better song. So again, have songs that aren't finished or that are, you haven't done the final recording of and stuff, but something that's a bit more in progress to get critiqued. Yeah, and just be prepared in your head for what songs are appropriate for what people in what kind of session.
Yeah, I think that was very close to what you wrote. You said last January. So thank you very much for that. Kev,
I was just going to say, do we pre-book these sort of things, Lisa, or is it something we do when we get there as far as booking in sessions or fixing?
Yeah, so what will happen is when you get to the conference, you check into your hotel, the hotel or wherever you're staying, and you come into the club, and they'll direct you to the conference area. And when you first walk in, there'll be like a registration desk, and that's where we'll give you your program, like a proper booklet, or that it'll be made available to you before the event. A program and some information and bits and pieces, your lanyard and whatnot. And we'll also have another desk set up where book in for the song pitching. And at this stage, everyone will get, I think on the website it says everyone will get at least 2, but I anticipate that it'll probably be at least 3, mainly because of the 4 metre rule now. We will have to cap our numbers, so there will be more. There will be more opportunities for pitches. So what you come in and you hopefully have already been to the website. You've had a look to see who's going to be at the pitching, the publishers, the music supervisors, the managers, and you've hopefully done some research online about those particular publishers and their genres and whatnot, and you know who you want to pitch to. So you come in and you write down there'll be sheets for you to write your name onto and the name of the song that you're going to pitch, and there'll be the pitching sessions. Usually most of them are held on the Friday. We do hold a couple over the weekend, but most of the pitching sessions are held on the Friday. So that's basically how we do it. And then each sheet will list the session time, and then the publisher will listen to the songs in order. So there's usually 20 spaces available in a session, 20 songs in a session, because the sessions technically run for an hour, depending on the publisher. Some will be quick and snappy and they'll get through in the hour. Others will go a little bit longer. Di Tarosian comes to mind. Di loves to get in and talk about every single song and pull it apart and put it back together. Well, not exactly, but she's a chatter and her information is invaluable. So we never stop her at the hour and say, sorry, Di, you have to stop now, because we know how valuable her input is. But generally speaking, there's 20 songs over an hour, which means basically 3 minutes. So the publisher is supposed to listen to a verse, a chorus, maybe a bridge if they're really into it, if they really want to hear more, give a very quick, yeah, I like this and why, or I think this needs more work and why, just very quickly. They basically have 3 minutes. They usually take more time. Some of them do. Some of them don't, but that's basically how it works. And then the pitching is usually the only thing that is held in tandem. So we have maybe 3 or 4 pitch sessions going on at once. So what we recommend is if when you see the program, there are 2 publishers that you want to pitch to and they are on at the same time, and we'll go back a bit. Each publisher does 2 sessions. So if you can see that you've got you want to pitch to 2 publishers and they're both on at the same time, then pick the early session with one and the late session with the other. If you haven't got a choice in the matter because the sheets are filling up and you just want to get in there and you have to book 2 that are on at the same time, then the idea is to try and get one booked in early in the session and one booked in later in the session. So you can go to the first one, hear your song, hear the critique or hear what the publisher has to say, and then race out into the other session and catch that one. The other thing that a lot of songwriters do at the event, if they've got a lot of pitching that's happening, is they buddy up with someone. So they'll, if someone, perhaps they'll see the next person on the list and go, okay, I'll ask them if they could perhaps write or record on their phone the pitch for me because I can't be there because I've got to be in another pitch session. We'll go through all of this at the event, but the pitch sessions, we know how important they are to writers. We try not to have more than 2 or 3 at a time, but it does depend on how many publishers we have coming in and when they can actually do their sessions. As I said, most of them want to do the Friday because it's a long weekend. They want to come in on the Friday, consider it a work day for them, do the pitch and then leave again and go off on their long weekend. So there will be some of the publishers, I can tell you now, there are some publishers who will be on the week over the weekend and not on the Friday, because they will actually be spending time like the whole weekend with us. And Matt Donlever, who's with us tonight, is one of those publishers. Matt's with Cooking Vinyl Australia, Cooking Vinyl Music Publishing Australia, and he'll be with us for, I believe, the whole weekend. So I know that I can put him in on the Saturday or the Sunday. Another person who would be in the same boat is Diana Tarossian. She's a songwriter manager. She'll be with us for the whole weekend. So I won't be putting her in on the Friday. I'll be putting her in on the Saturday or the Sunday, probably opposite Matt. We'll do the two together, and then you can do Matt in one session and then do Di in the next, if you know what I mean. And there'll be a couple of others. I think that Tyler McLaughlin from the Sound Pound will be with us for at least a couple of days. So she'll probably do a weekend session as well with her pitching. So we do try and break it up where we can, because otherwise we don't have room for anything else on the Friday but pitching.
And I think this might be a good time for me to break in and invite Matt to give his perspective from the other side of the pitch to publisher desk.
Well, I think what Lisa's saying is right, how you time it, and how it worked last time around was people were kind of putting themselves in two different things and trying to get early in one list and later in another list. That's one way of dealing with it. But it's just when you speak to the publisher, it's just a bit of a reality check more than anything about where you are. So for the people who are coming in who haven't had that experience, and I know many of you have, that it's just sometimes we just listen to only a part of the song. Don't be offended by that, because we have very short attention spans. One thing I would suggest to the people who are looking at coming would be that they do the best recording they can. I don't mean like a 24 track. Yeah, that's old school, isn't it? 24 track.
Sure.
A digital recording, but just do the, if it's just guitar and vocal, make sure it's the best you can do. Make sure it's the best vocal you can do. If you're doing your lyrics, make sure you've got your lyrics printed to come with it, for example. But as I say, if it's just piano, vocal, and yourself, or if it's just even beats, because you have to remember there's probably going to be a couple of beats people there. And in theory, there should be a couple of top liners as well. So, bring your best game, because it's one of those little windows of opportunity that you can grab and talk to people. And from my experience, people either listen or they don't, and that's okay. We don't, it's not like we have a kind of a central knowledge system that we only control, but we will make suggestions. We'll either tell you what we like about it, what we don't like. One of the things I do suggest to people is that they do talk and listen, particularly to Di Tarossian, because she's the best song plugger in Australia, easily the best song plugger in Australia. And if you want songs placed, there wouldn't be a better person.
She's playing the biggest game the country has.
Yeah, she is. She's easily the best song plugger in Australia by a mile. There's, she's better than the girl from EMI, and she's better than the woman from Universal. She gets more success out of her people than those two combined. So keep that in mind too, that you've got some real skill coming in as well. So.
And do you prefer, if someone's pitching to you, that it's recorded or live?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
No?
Provided you can sing it live. If you've got a terrible voice or something, maybe not. But and we can't do like, oh, wait, let me just start again. It's better, but that's what I'm saying. If you want to bring your song, just bring guitar and vocals, or piano and vocals, or keyboard and vocals. You don't have to have a full production, but you have to have a really clear picture of where the song is and what it's doing. So, that's probably the thing. And, there was a really interesting article that Lisa brought out just recently from Jason Bloom about we're looking for something new and different.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you, was it? No, I think it was Lisa actually. But anyway, was about how publishers are looking for something new and different, but they're not looking for like incredibly different. They're looking for
the same, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
Jason's cookie analogy.
Yeah, but that was, it's funny. He that piece he put up on the website about his song lyric, about those different songs. I went and I knew a couple of the songs, but I didn't know about that guy who oddly enough just got called someone and an N-word and has been dropped by his record label and his manager. And but they were incredibly good lyrics. I mean,
So
really good lyrics.
if you don't know, Jason Bloom is a very famous American songwriter who we are talking about a recent post of his on Facebook where he'd been told, we want more like the,
No, we want new.
We want new songs that sound new, but what they really want is the same old thing, just polished a little bit differently. And that frustrates songwriters because it doesn't help us. But he then went on to say, it's not the publisher's job to make you a better writer. And here's, 3 or 4 songs, go and listen to these. And if you can honestly say your lyrics are better and your melody is better, then you can complain if a publisher isn't listening to your work. So those 4 songs we both listened to, and they are killer songs.
Oh, the
killer
lyrics,
songs.
lyrically, they were just spectacular. I mean, that was very clever. Anyway, so that's my suggestion. Bring your A game, bring your best 3 songs. Even if you've got them roughly recorded, make sure you've got it recorded on a good quality microphone, so it's, I say, clear and legible. And come and listen when you. I mean, one thing about it, you're with a bunch of very like-minded individuals who are all of the same. You've all got this sickness called songwriting. So unfortunately, you're all afflicted by it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you're going to be in a room with a whole bunch of other addicts. So keep that in mind, and talk to your other addicts about how to deal with your addiction. Should I put a middle 8 in this part? Should I write a chorus about this part? There's an awful lot of opportunities that will come, not just from the publishing part, but also from the meeting people and talking to people and just getting a bit excited about being recognized as for what you do.
One of the things that you mentioned there that I will touch on quickly, Matt, is the lyric sheets. We do ask that you submit a lyric sheet with every pitch. So, and that's something that you'll hand in when you register your song pitching on the sheets. We have little boxes there, and you pop your lyric sheet in there, and then we make sure that it's all in order in the box to the sheet. And yeah, we do ask, and that'll all be in an information sheet that I send you, a document that I send out to attendees about a month or 5 weeks or something before the event. But yes, having a lyric sheet available for the publisher to read through as he or she is listening to the song is really important.
Yep, agreed. And also bringing a good quality recording. Simple as that. It's got to, within your first minute, say, publishers have very short attention span, so it's got to
yes,
pop.
They do.
Good, thanks. So my time. Anyway, we have very short. Yes, we are. So we have very short attention spans. Make sure you kind of blast us with something interesting in the first minute. So don't think that we just got to wait till to get to the second chorus where it really picks up, because we won't make it. Make sure your intro is interesting, make sure your opening line's interesting, and make sure your arrangements are interesting too. I say, it doesn't have to be tricky, doesn't have to have strings, just has to have punch.
One more question for you. Are you more interested in a good song to pitch to someone else, or an artist who also has a good song?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What? Yes, what's so funny? I think a good quality song is always a really important indicator to the writer themselves. Like if you can write a really strong song, then there's a good chance that you can write a second really good song. So I would think that's an important part.
Sure, but as a publisher, are you more interested in artists or writers?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on how professional, artists are probably a bit easier because there's less work involved to them, and then they're much easier yes or no. But a good songwriter is a good songwriter. And, like Di's picked up a couple of people from the last songwriting event. I've seen the activity of a whole bunch of the writers who have been participating in these events, including Elizabeth there, who have really spread their songwriting wings and actually done significant amount of work out there in the real publishing world. So It's whatever you do best. See, I've got a feeling that if you have some young people coming along, you'll have a few beats people, you'll have a few top liners, and you know,
There'll be a
that's
few
good.
great voices.
Yeah, let's hope.
If you want to write with a great singer, there'll be
Yeah,
some of those.
and that's one of the things too, that I say it will be a great opportunity for you to meet people to want to write with someone else. You know, you'll find people in the room who will be open and who you think, yes, I connect with that person and I really like their songs. Perhaps I could write a song with them and we can meet up after the event, or we can meet up, you know, when it finishes at 6 o'clock or whatever it is. So keep that in mind too.
And each publisher will have a different answer to Naomi's question, because Ty Tarosian is not interested in artists at all. She will only work with songwriters. Your music supervisors, they're going to be more interested in the music itself, not the artists.
Right.
Who, you know, whether it's an artist or a writer, like a performing writer or not. Publishers, you'll get a bit of both, like Matt. So again, do your research, take note of who's coming via the website. The website has a listing of the confirmed publishers and supervisors and so on, and we'll keep adding to that. Keep that in mind. So maybe go back to the website every now and again, or keep an eye on the newsletters. Really keep an eye on the upcoming ASC newsletters that come out at the beginning or end of each month for the following month, because I will be including new confirmations, new faculty confirmations in those newsletters, and then you can go and look them up and read up about them a little bit and see, you know, okay, what makes this publisher tick? What do they really want to hear? Yeah, and are they a good fit for me? There's no point in pitching to a publisher just because you want to pitch something to someone. Because then you'll end up pitching to the wrong person and basically wasting your time and theirs. And being professional is really important. Make sure you've got some business cards with you, even if they're just really simple little Vistaprint cards with your name and email, you know, on it, just so that if you do meet up with a publisher who really likes your work, you know, you can be professional and hand them a card and say, you know, this is my card, or can I have your card? Would you mind if I stay in contact with you? It's all about the networking and all about building relationships in this industry. So, you know, be professional, have your lyric sheet. You can bring your song on your phone or on a music player. When we first started the conference back in 2008, we all bought CDs with our songs on them. These days, we might have a CD player around if we need it, but we'll have like little Sony speakers and whatnot that you can either plug into or Bluetooth, so we can hear your songs directly from your own device.
And further to what Lisa's saying about that too, we're all looking at something different. Like what she said then was really interesting about, for example, if we're talking to some of the synchronization people, which is where the song might be used in a television program or a movie or some
advertising.
They want finished. They don't want to hear the acoustic guitar
work in
progress thing. They won't care about it because it's not what they're looking for. They're looking for finished, where they can do something with it. Yet, and you know, and as Lisa says, Di's looking for a cracking song. She doesn't want artists. She's looking for a cracking song. I'm looking for both. So we'll all have a different agenda. Keep that in mind too. So if you're a songwriter who thinks you want to get songs placed and you want to co-write, maybe don't talk to the sync people so much, because unless you've got a finished song with them, you might be burning up your own time.
Okay, well, I would also like to say that as part of the research, you can always listen to Naomi's podcast interviews, for instance, with Matt and with Di. And I'll also say be open to whatever the conference might spark in you, because I attended the conference in 2008 as a non-performing songwriter, and Lisa allowed me to recite poems in the showcases instead of singing a song or performing a song. And then as a direct result of something that Matt happened to say in a pitch to publisher session where I played a song off a CD, I ended up coming to the next one as a performing songwriter, and MC Pony was unleashed onto the ASC showcase stage. So be open to whatever might come up.
Yeah.
So thank you. And then we've also got Don and Alex, who have both been attendees. So do you two want to share your perspectives?
Yeah, well, there's so much to do at the conference. There's just so much, it's overwhelming. And there are days when I found myself running from here to here and trying to catch up with the recording. And it was just amazing. And some of the people we've got to know, it's just been brilliant. Really, really fantastic.
I know that Elizabeth has co-written with a lot of other ASCers over the years, and that's one of the aspects of the conference that attendees, when they first come to the event, don't often consider, like realise that they're going to get out of it. The co-writing opportunities, not just at the conference, but after the conference. We've got people who came to the first event who was in 2008, who are still writing together today. They haven't been to the conference since the first, maybe they went to the first couple of events back in the, 2008, 2009. I keep track of them and I can see what they're doing. People like Lola Brinton, for example, who's a great sort of pop, country, adult contemporary. She's a little bit of everything, writer, non-performing writer. And she hooked up with a few other writers at the conference that year and has been writing solidly ever since. And even now I see her come up in, ASA award finals, and she's releasing songs for artists with other ASCers that she has met at the conference. And it's years later, and they're still working together. It's a really great opportunity to not just to build relationships with the industry professionals, but with other songwriters too. And it's a perfect place to listen to each other's work and go, I love what that person's doing. I'd love to write with that person. I think there'd be a really great synergy there. And you go and you introduce yourself and you sit down and start, plunking out a few tunes. And it's amazing the connections that you make at the event, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. So it's always gratifying for me to see that happen.
Yeah, well, on that point, I will say that Don and I and Linda all knew each other for years. And then we'd never written together, the three of us, and we got randomly pulled out of a hat. I think it was the first writing exercise in 2018, and we laughed because we were supposed to, this was supposed to be a write with people you don't know, get pulled out of the hat. But we went with it, and then that was the song that became Stuck at the Crossroads. And that's up on my You Can Enthuse channel now, with Don playing ukulele and singing, and I've got MC Pony on there, and that was the first. Oh yeah, and some keys.
Underlying key bit.
That was also the first You Can Enthuse song that I put MC Pony on. So it was really awesome to have that come out of an ASC conference workshop experience and prompt.
And yeah,
Don, do you want to talk about your experiences?
Yeah, basically it feels like you're in songwriters heaven because you're surrounded by like-minded songwriters, even though they're all coming from different styles and backgrounds, most likely. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
In 2008, we started at the venue we're going to this year, which is Ettalong Diggers. It's, if you've seen the photos of it on the website, it's a lovely big resort building, And Ettalong Diggers is the club that is sort of on the ground floor, takes up the entirety of the ground level, and then the Mantra sits on top of that. It's Ettalong Diggers and Mantra Resort Ettalong Beach. And that's where we started in 2008. And in 2009, it was quite expensive, and it was, being the first event, it was more expensive than I was still new at doing all that. So I decided that we needed to go to somewhere that wasn't quite as expensive. With the conference now, we want to take the next step up with it. We're now moving into, I mean, it's been running since 2008, so we're running into its second decade. And I just really wanted to up the ante a little bit as well. So there are a couple of reasons for it. I'm certainly glad for it now with COVID, because it means the club they have like all the COVID safety officers. They've got actually a team, because it's a big place. And I met with them today, and they're wonderful. And they've got it all, they'll have it all organised with all the sanitisers and all the, the temperature checks and all that sort of stuff will be done, when you come in each morning. And they've got it really, really well organised, which is really important to me. It's an awesome venue, and it's going to be a wonderful event there. As I said, I do need to, because of COVID and the 4-metre rule, we have to reorganise the space a little bit. And it also means that I really do have to cap attendance now. So for those of you who haven't signed up, it looks like I can probably take another 20 registrations. So for those of you who haven't signed up, or even for those of you who have, if you know people who have been sort of thinking about it, just maybe let them know that, we're going to have to watch the numbers, and I can probably take maybe 20 more registrations, maybe 25. Because otherwise we won't meet that 4x4 rule. And look, it could be 2x2, the 2-metre rule by then, which is fine. But to be on the safe side, we're organising and making our arrangements based on the 4-metre rule, just to be on the safe side. Yeah. Hey, Julie.
Yeah, I'll take
It's good to see you.
Hi, sorry I'm late. Better late than not at all.
That's all good. The Seclusion Social is informal and casual, so welcome. And everybody so far has had a chance to ask a question or whatever. So is there any question you'd like to ask initially?
I think my biggest concern was I was concerned about losing a deposit if there was a COVID outbreak and those sort of questions.
Yeah.
I think that's all been answered with my conversations with you. So I think I'm all right about that. So now for me, it's just really about being brave enough to come along and have a go.
Well, I might suggest, Lisa, do you want to just do a spiel about that so that it's on the recording, so that if you kind of edit this into an FAQ or something, there can be something about the COVID or potential like refunds and so on?
Yeah, I actually already have included it in the FAQ section at the website. Basically, with COVID, if the event can't go ahead because of lockdowns, for example, the venue can't open and it can't happen, then the venue will refund all of the money, and then I'll be able to refund everybody. So I reconfirmed it with them today. I didn't need to really, because we already had it in writing, but I reconfirmed with them today when I saw them. And yes, if the event can't go ahead, I can either choose to postpone it again, or I can cancel it and they will refund all the money. So it's not a problem, which is good. Yeah, but I'm not anticipating that at this stage. I think we've sort of, well, I'm being hopeful. Of course I am, because I'm the organizer and I love what I do, and I love supporting you guys. All being well, there won't be a problem. And the most we'll have to deal with is the 4-meter rule. And, you know, we had a good conversation about that today, and I'm going back again in a week or so, having another meeting with them, with their COVID safety, their whole COVID safety team, just to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed and all of that. But even with the 4-meter rule, by opening up, basically, for those of you who don't know the venue, it's one big space that is that has dividers through it, like sliding. It's a beautiful conference area. It's a professional, full-on conference centre. Basically, the spaces will be there, but those spaces will be open. So the buffet dinner at night, for those of you who've booked in for that, and I really, really highly recommend you do that, especially now because of COVID. When we eat, even with the buffets, we'll be served at the buffet. So we're not allowed to serve ourselves with the food now because of the COVID restrictions. So they will have servers at the serveries who will serve us, but then we have to take our meal and sit down at a table. So my suggestion is that if you haven't booked for the buffet dinner, that you do that, because that's going to be your main networking opportunity because of the COVID restrictions and the fact that we all have to be seated. Lunchtime with it's a workman's lunch, which means normally we would, you know, grab our rolls and our sandwiches and whatever and our cup of coffee and stand around, mill around, talking to people and whatnot. We won't be able to do that. We will collect our meal, our lunch, and then we will have to sit down. So we're still working out how to put all that together, and we will. We always do. We always sort these things out. And it is a big area, which is great. But it means that, you know, we'll have tables set up behind us in the main seminar area, kind of maybe sitting there waiting to be set for the next meal, rather than it being closed off. So that we've got a bigger space. So the 4 meter rule then is easier for us to work with. So just little things like that, you know. It won't disrupt the program at all once I rewrite it now that we've got 3 rooms instead of 4. But I think it's going to be fine. You know, they're excited to have us there again after so many years, and they're bending over backward to help me and to ensure that the event is a success. And I know it will be. It always is. And every event's a little bit different. For those of you who've been to more than one, you know that you know what to expect, but you also know that each event has its own sort of flavour, has its own feeling. I mean, it's always very nurturing, and it's always very warm and family. You walk away feeling like family, and you are, you know, once you've been to the conference, you become part of the family. But every event has its own flavour, and this event will be no different. And COVID's certainly going to, I mean, it's thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, but so I become a mechanic. It's fine. I'll make it work. We always do, don't we?
Yep, it works beautifully. I've got some comments to make if nobody has any more, like a specific question right at this time. So I would say, based on what Don said about it being, and Alex, I think you both said that it's very full on. You know, there's a lot happening and it's very full on. So it can be exhausting, and definitely pace yourself, because there's so much happening, and you meet so many people, you make great connections, but that all does build up, and then, you know, the event itself, the formal part, runs for a business day, and then beyond that, after dinner, there's the showcases as well. So that's that's a long day, and it's not a one-off day. You've got that back to back to back. So give yourself the option if you want to have some breaks in there as well, and have some quiet time. And yeah, basically that boils down to pace yourself. And then, as Naomi said, do the research, know who you really would like to connect with, but then also don't box yourself into that. So yeah, like I said before as well, just be open to what comes up for you. Have your songs ready. It is very frustrating to be in the audience when somebody is called up for the pitch to publisher and they've got basically 3 minutes, and they spend 90 seconds going, oh, hang on, was this the right version? Oh, that was the pre-edited version. Oh, that's the wrong ending. Oh, I didn't mean to play you that one. So it's frustrating all around for the person who is playing the wrong song and thinks, oh no, I'm not giving the impression I wanted to, for the publisher who is having to sit there through it, and then for the whole room of everybody watching it happen as well. So yeah, do the research and have your songs ready. And
Absolutely.
then, yeah. And after the conference, allow yourself a few days, book it in. If you don't have the time to do it immediately after the conference, at least within the first week, give yourself follow-up time, because, don't waste your investment of time and money in going to the conference if you don't then take any action based on what you've learned or the connections you've made there. Personally, I also think that just, if you can have an extra day tacked onto the long weekend to give yourself, the recovery time physically and emotionally as well, that's always helpful. But then, allow yourself the follow-up time too. And I also just want to give a public shout out to Lisa for everything she's done in terms of the conference, for setting it up in the first place, because, yeah, my songwriting would not be where it is today without having gone to the conference back in 2008. And it was a stretch financially and, a leap of faith in myself and in my songwriting to put the money and the time and the effort and the, dip my toe in the water in that sense, and have, yeah, the rewards have been amazing as a result. And my songwriting, yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today without having been to all the conferences, and like Lisa drives it. And thank you.
Lisa.
Thanks, Elizabeth. It's my pleasure. You know that. And you were mentioning the expense, and it's not, and I understand, when you go to a 4-day anything, it's going to cost money. Do you remember that first event, how expensive it was? It was like, oh my God. And it was just to cover costs, and I still didn't do that. It was like, oh my gosh. I think the cheapest ticket, which was conference only, no food, no anything else, just the conference, I think was like nearly $1,000. And then I think I had all these different packages, which were a good idea in theory, but in practice, trying to make it, like, get it all together and make it happen. Yeah. I think the most expensive ticket was about $2,500, and that included the meals and accommodation. When you think that this year it's like $550 for members, it's half the price it was, 13 years ago. Unbelievable. But that comes down to my, see, over the years, I've done a lot of networking too because of the event. And so I've met people who will donate this and they'll help with that, and everything brings the costs down. And the event has made a name for itself. And so venues are more open to giving us discounts and all that sort of thing. And that means the ticket price comes down, which is awesome. It's like, absolutely fantastic. If anyone's got any more questions for me, feel free to ask, or maybe,
I was just
Well,
going to, oh, sorry.
go on.
Sorry,
go
guys.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, as a new member, because I've only just joined, sort of really don't know what I'm getting myself into by going, especially if I go on my own. So I was just maybe asking the other members there, the first time they went, did they get a lot out of the very first time they went?
Well, I certainly did. I've only been to one of them, which was 2018. And yeah, I didn't realize how much I'd get out of it. As I said, I don't know if you were here then, but it's like songwriters heaven. You're just surrounded by fellow people who are really into songwriting. And there's all these different parts to it. And it's really, you know, well, there's, you know, the where people are paired up for songwriting, we mentioned. So in the mornings, well, I guess you'll still be having that sort of thing with Alan Roy Scott.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant guy. So he's sort of, his personality makes the conference in a sense.
I will say we will have Alan this year, which is awesome. He may be zooming in though to do his sessions in the morning because we might not be able to get him here.
That's all right. The personality will just shine through anyway.
Yeah, that's right. He'll still be doing what he does, but his sessions will be via Zoom, and most likely in the mornings. Obviously, I'm not going to make him sit up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do a 3-hour co-writing session.
You can probably organise that another time, but yeah, on that particular one, we all did people were paired off names out of a hat, so you're thrown together with 3 or 5 or whatever other songwriters. You go off into a little room, you've got half an hour, is it, I think, to co-write a song, then you come back and perform it. Sounds scary.
Wow.
But you can do it. It's amazing when you're forced to come up with the goods. You haven't got the time there. And so, yeah, that was a really good and a good icebreaker too. So good for networking. And there's just so many all the different factions of the music industry are represented. So you're getting info about how things are recorded from people who operate a nearby recording studio. You know, there's info on all aspects of being a songwriter there, and a lot of fun. And then people performing at night too, so yeah, and chance to perform your songs.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that about the recording studio. That's actually an aspect that I didn't make use of for the first 4 conferences I went to. And then in the 5th one, I had written a song with Tracy Lofthouse from Canberra, and we did then get it song surgery from Alan, not in the public song surgery, but in a one-on-one that had been part of the fundraiser crowdfunding like reward. And after what he did to it, we then went for 1 hour to the studio, the on-site studio, and we got a track that we were then able to use to perform at the showcase that evening. So that was amazing. And that became well, I mean, we obviously then had to go and re-record in another studio back after the conference back home for the final release, but that became a kind of shade of green on my Vegan Foods channel. Yeah.
And another thing I didn't mention was you're hanging out. So in between, you might be going for your breakfast or your lunch, and then there's presenters just over there. And so there's opportunities for people to ask them questions and just to hang out and get to know them. So yeah, that's really important part of it too, the networking side. And yeah, it's just a lovely atmosphere because everyone's there for the one purpose. Yeah.
Purpose. Like a tribe.
Yeah, definitely.
It is very much a tribe, yes. Alex, you've been to the event a few times.
Yes.
Do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about your experience, how you've, like, anything that stands out for you, what you feel you've gotten out of it over the, the period that you've been?
Yes, I can pretty much say that as far as writing goes, I think I was on the wrong track. My writing is that of the era of when I was young. It was definitely difficult to write in today's way of writing songs. And I learned a lot about how to find out about writing, in that if you listen to the top 100 songs, you're likely to pick up how the song is structured, as in pre-choruses and choruses and middle eights and bridges and things like that. And also the length of the songs. I always had this habit of writing long songs that would go for 5 minutes, even 10 minutes. And I didn't realise to the listener, 3 minutes is probably enough. And it's things like that I've found out about. And putting yourself amongst people of the same ideas and what we wanted out of this. The amount of information that you can pick up at the conference is because you're talking to different people all the time and sharing meals with them, and there's always someone to help. And Elizabeth, oh my God, did I lean on you plenty of times, and Lisa as well, but certainly Elizabeth, and it continues. She helps me out very often these days. And it's just been an ongoing thing that I'm glad to be part of, and learned so much. Have taken up recording myself. I got Logic Pro 10 last year, and I'm learning production, and that's coming along, and I'm doing some great recordings. Still not writing in today's genre, I suppose, but anyway, what I'm getting out of it is just amazing. I'm loving what I'm doing. I've also teamed up with a couple of people. One of them is a neighbour and an old friend that have the same program as me, and we're bouncing off each other and sharing each other's tracks, and it's just been a wonderful thing to be part of, and I'm so pleased to be part of it. It really is, yeah, it's wonderful.
And I also want to give Alex a shout out for coming to the ASC Sydney Circle events in person from Wollongong to Burwood, and you know, that's a long trip to make, and it was always great when we saw him in person. And I'm looking forward to in-person days again at some stage.
Don't forget, if any of you have any questions, just email me or call me. You know, I'm pretty accessible most of the time, so feel free to, yeah.
Well, I've got a question.
Yes, Don?
Is the accommodation, if you have accommodation in, you know, above the club, is that like far removed, or?
It's right upstairs. It's just right upstairs, and there are elevators.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, you know, how last time people would go off to accommodation to do co-writes and things like that.
No, it's all really easy because the elevator, you literally walk out of the club door and into the Mantra's front door and up the elevators.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So similar situations could happen, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go from the conference centre directly upstairs. You have to go like out of the club and up that way. But it's right there. I mean, you don't have to walk down the street or anything. It's, yeah.
Sounds good.
So
if it's raining, is it all undercover?
It's all undercover.
Yeah.
It's
Probably
all
played
undercover.
everywhere, but I think I've performed there with the band by the swimming pool at one stage.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great venue. Yeah. I'm excited, and they're really excited for, you know, to be having us there. Let me just bring it up here. There it is there.
Lisa, I think I remember back in 2008 as well, and I don't know if they would, you know, still have it, but I think they had a karaoke night, like the night before it all happened. They ran a karaoke night.
Yeah, and they had a band. I don't know. It'll depend on COVID restrictions, of course. So yeah, this section, this is looking at it from the beach actually, And this is all a big kind of terraced area. And actually the conference centre is in this section here at the bottom.
You want to just
Well,
click
this
on
is
that
all-
to bring the photo up bigger, like because that's quite small on the shared
I
screen.
don't know whether I can on this.
I can see.
I don't know whether I can on it, but if you go to the website and you'll see it all.
Okay.
Hang on, let me see the mantra. But again, that's only going to that's not going to show the. Well, that's looking from the mantra, looking
Bigger,
towards
ain't
the beach. Let's see.
I've been there. It's quite nice, but that pool has no deep end.
I haven't been
Oh,
in the pool.
really? You know diving, hey?
No diving in that pool.
Hope they let people know.
I haven't been
Yeah.
in the pool.
Beautiful.
Looks nice.
Well, this is part of the conference area that we'll be in. We'll take up the whole conference area.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. Yeah,
It's definitely upgraded since 2008.
it's gorgeous. Yeah, I'd have to go looking through my own files for better pictures of the conference area and the front. But basically, the front door of the mantra and the front door of the club are right next door to each other. So you walk out of one and into the other, basically.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. And then when you go into the mantra doors, they're at their sort of their reception area. Then there's the elevators that go straight upstairs to the accommodation. So it's all very easy, and it's all undercover. So there's no getting wet. There's no sitting out in the cold in the morning eating breakfast. As lovely as the meals that we had at the little resort were, it could get pretty cold in the morning, as you know, even, because you're right on the water. And the mantra is right on the water. So it's really good for people who want to have a little bit of a break during the day. They can go out and have a little wander on the beach. It's much closer to the actual beach, this venue too, than the old venue was.
It's quite a flash, really. Okay, well, we're getting off at 9:45, so I will say thank you and good night. It's so nice to have a few hours being social with you all.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much
it's
for
been great.
organising.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
You're welcome. And